Hi, welcome to the channel. This is your channel, The Foreigner. And again, for a second day in a row, I'm still nursing my throat. If you can see, if you can hear my voice a little bit in a funny way or like a walky way, that's what it is. So I had still, little cold, recovering for a cold, but I meant to, uh, touch some topic about Central America. If you are an expat in Central America or planning to move to Central America or Latin America in general, or an expat moving to the Philippines, of course, this is a channel. We've been talking about recently the issue of Panama. Of course, it's just not an issue. Panama is very much a well-known country in the world. It's not like a shady country somewhere in the planet where you could never hear of it. But Panama has been in the spotlight not just recently, this month, 2025. I mean, this recently talking about January and February now, 2025. But Panama has been a small country, yes, in Central America, but it has been the spotlight for many, many years. Of course, the Panama Canal is the focal point of of contentions for for many decades. I mean, for over 100 years now. I mean, a little more than 100 years. It's been a focal of contention in the in the international forums with big players, of course. But we're gonna talk about a little more, about the expat community in Panama, and also what does Panama really mean for Central America? How about when we talk about expats, and what about the expats from Central America? Let's ask the question first: is Panama part of Central America? Well, there are two answers for that: yes and no. And this is what I mean by that. Uh, the history of Panama. Panama used to be part of Colombia, actually. If you see this Central American map, of course, Panama it's located in Central America, but in reality it used to be a part of Colombia. But Panama, of course, became independent in the 19th century. Close so it became independent from from Colombia, what was called back then the Grand Colombia, the Great Colombia, of course. And since then, it's been taught in Central America, in schools all over the Central America, from Guatemala, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, uh, uh, Honduras. It's been taught that Central America, when it's referring to Central America, it has been always referred to Central America and Panama. That's what in the map, even like not even a long time ago, like not even like 50 or 60 years ago in the history books, it's the reference is Central America and Panama, Central America y Panama. Remember Belize, which is has been independent for like over nearly 40 years from the United Kingdom, wasn't even it was there, but it was a province, like a British territory. It was a British territory, Belize, which now is independent country, of course. So that's the reason we count. Today we count 7 countries, but it used to be only 5, actually. Not even 50 years ago. We used to count Central America and Panama, It's like adding up, but it wasn't part of Panama. But nowadays, of course, when we count Central America, we count all these 7 countries. Not to make the story long. This is just to clarify more for people who are. I know many people study history. Many people go to go to Google, to Google whatever was the story of Central America, of course. But for people in Central America, what does it mean? Now, let me ask this question now. I mean, if uh, if Panama if Panama is part of Central America, how come some Central American citizens needs a visa to enter Panama? How come people from Singapore, nothing wrong with it, people from Singapore, South Korea, Germany, can enter Panama without a visa? Even Americans, Canadians, just upon arriving to Panama, you can arrive by airplane, and by plane, by the airport, and upon arrival, you have a 180-day stay, right? But citizens from Nicaragua, Honduras, and you know, uh, with exception of El Salvador and Guatemala, they don't need visa to enter Panama. Of course, they don't need, but other countries like Honduras, Nicaragua, then citizen Honduran citizen needs visa to enter Panama. So it's kind of little uh, it's kind of funny to think that way. But people from South Korean citizens, German citizens, Canadian citizens, it can enter. Which is I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying it. How come these there is a unequal or disparity about how who can enter Panama, who cannot, right? So by saying that, I'm just trying to put our foot, where are we in Central America? What's the real situation of Central America, of course. But Panama has been very important for um, the rest of Central America, and the reason is it's been a tradition. It's been a tradition for many small merchants from all Central America, even those who can enter without visa, or those people acquire. You have to apply for visa, right? Of course, it's been a tradition for so many years uh, for people to do business in Panama. It's like Wall Street is for New York. I mean, Wall Street is the center of world commerce. The world banking community. That's the ground zero of the world banking community. To do business, to big for big corporations to business is what is for Central America, the Panama Canal. I mean, the free zone. It used to call the free zone of the Panama Canal, the canal zone, right? What do I mean by free zone? Free zone is a tax-free zone, of course. So even small, merchants, small, business owners, very not big time, big players, importers, big business, big corporations. Of course, there in Central America, there are many big corporations that they do, import and export, all over the world, from China, from the United States. I mean, it's a global commerce now. But the free zone of the canal, of the Panama Canal, gave opportunity to many Central America small business owners, like moms and pops store, of course legally established, of course, but very much small business people who can go to Panama and buy, like to the free zone, of course, because tax free, and that's where the business was. It is still that you can. I mean, anybody can go and buy, of course, if you're registered like a small business owner in anywhere in Central America, buy like 100 blue jeans, like jeans, for instance, just, or tennis shoes, 100 100 pairs of tennis shoes, like tax free, of course. And that's where the business is, of course. For many billion, thousands, I mean, people, hundreds of thousands of people have done business in Panama. Not just recently, this has been going on for years, for over 50 years. So people will travel, and spend like $300 in expenses, a hotel, transportation is very cheap. If you go by land from anywhere, from Guatemala, if you're from Nicaragua, from El Salvador, Honduras, if you go by land, by bus, of course, traveling by land is not far away. It's not like it could take like a day and a half or so, very much. I would say like day and a half to 2 days if you are traveling continue, making good connection with buses, uh, and maybe spend like a 300 to $350. I mean, you spend hotel, you can people do spend less small money for a cheap hotel in Panama City or the area, and inexpensive food, transport, the usual, the expenses for 3 or 4 days, or 3 or 4 days stay in Panama. So if you if people bring merchandise, it's worth like $1,500, or in $1,500 or $2,000, $3,000 in merchandise. This could be, like I said, I mentioned, tennis shoes, jeans, or 20 flat screen TV, for instance. Big time. They can still make profit like seven between 600 and $700 profit in a week, in just a week work. And if you compare those 600 $700 profit by buying in the free zone canal, even if these people paying custom, to enter, the tax that you have to pay for in customs to enter those kind of those amount of merchandise, people still make like a $600 to $700 profit in a week, or in a short period of time, of course. It was good. It is good business for hundreds of thousands of people. So by saying that, what I'm trying to imply here is that it's been important not just for experts coming, to live in Panama because of experts from United States, Canada, and Europe. So from from Asia, like Singapore. I mean, from some Japanese, from so many countries, like that they have that those citizens of course with a valuable passport. That's what the term of value, having a valuable passport or high ranking passport. Having that high rank is very important for many citizens of uh, these citizens from developed countries, of course. And of course they gave 180 days as a tourist, as a visitor, without no question asked. Of course, before the 180 days, you have to, I mean, people, those citizens from these countries needs to leave, of course, and then come back and start all over the process again, which for many many Western citizens, that does not include U.S. citizens and Europeans, of course. If you go to they go to the Philippines, of course, as an expat. You visit for a month and then you have to be renewed, even renewing like every month, and of course then after if you apply for a different type of visa, like a residence visa or investor's visa, you can switch that temporary visa that you acquire as you arrive to these in Southeast Asia, in different countries like mainly the Philippines. So Panama has been very important to for Latin American and especially for Central Americans in that sense. And nowadays, of course, Panama is part of Central America, but it's definitely is part of Central America, and they have the CAFTA agreement, the free zone, free commerce agreement with the U.S. that includes of course nowadays includes the Dominican Republic. It includes as part of that commerce and free trade agreement that has with the United States, which has been beneficial for Central America, and it's been beneficial for the U.S. too. Of course, remember that the um, the Central American market, if you're gonna call market, is only it's only a market of 40 between around 45 million to 50 million people, roughly. Of course, we never say exactly the amount because not even governments in Central America know exactly how many people are here. I mean, of course, uh, the uh, the assumption is that 10% of the population is out of Central America. 10% of the Central American countries does not live in Central America. Either a few millions in the U.S., another million in Spain, and another million in in different other countries. So if you count million, a few millions here, a couple millions there, just in El Salvador has 2 million Salvadorans who live in the states. Legally, of course. Some of them may not, and of course the rest of Central America has different amount of population. Like Guatemala has at least 1.5 billion, Nicaragua another close to a million, and just go on and on like that. Of course, Panamanians, the cost, the standard of living, the quality of living for Panamanians is above average. Where comparing to those in Honduras, of course, education is above average Central American standard. And of course the cost of living too. I mean, if you are an expat going to, and still Panamanian has been very attractive for expats from the US, from the United States, from mainland USA, and for Canadians, of course, and other Western countries. And the reason is, well, Panama is a tax haven also, not just an attractive location, attractive country, and stable. I mean, it's been stable for over like since the Noriega, remember the Noriega regime, like over like a little more than 30 years ago. Panama has been very stable. There have been elected democratic governments, and of course, with the situation, what's going on this 2025. I mean, we have to dig in a little more. What's the future of Panama? And I think the future is still bright. I mean, they have their most valuable assets in Panama is not the coastlines. I mean, of course, the tropical rainforest and on and on and on. Of course, it's I mean all the amenities. I mean, it's very important, but the canal for this the Panama the canal by itself is a huge business for the Panamanian people, of course, and just for this, just to mention that remember the Panamanian the Panama Canal or the Canal Zone, what it was called until it was called that way from 1904 to 1979 when expired. The time was that the Panama Canal was called the canal zone, in which many Americans lived in that area. I mean, thousands of Americans. So any American who lived, I mean, who was born from American parents until up to that time, up to 1979, was a U.S. citizen, just like any other, just like a U.S. citizen who was born in Alaska, in Puerto Rico, in Hawaii, in the U.S. Virgin Island, any territory that's part of the mainland USA. So anyone you remember John McCain, Senator John McCain, uh, from Arizona, he was born in, from a naval officer, who used to live in the Panama zone. So he was born in Panama, in the territory, in the Republic of Panama, but he was born inside the canal zone. So automatically, because of the agreement, the treaty agreement that the Panamanian, the Republic of Panama had with the United States about the Panama Canal, anybody who was born on that territory was a U.S. citizen because it was considered a U.S. territory, that area. So was that was if you are born before 1979, the Panama zone, the canal zone, are you an expat in Panama? Maybe not, right? I mean, you are U.S. citizen, but at the same time, you are living in the territory. You go around anywhere in Panama freely. I mean, you didn't need a visa, I mean, to go from the canal zone to Panama City, to Bocas del Toro, to any other part of Panama. Of course, you didn't need a visa if you were living there, if you're staying there before. That's before 1979. But of course, everything changed. I mean, changed after that. After the agreement was expired, and then now, well, the situation is different, of course. But still, I mean, the benefits for I mean, American citizens coming to Panama is that it's big, it's huge. I mean, you can say 106 months without no question asked. I mean, with a visit, just if you have valid passport, that's it. I mean, you arrive there and that you are there to stay. Of course, you can, after that you can apply for an extension, 3 months extension. I believe they have it, and of course, for as far as I know, for that 180 days, you pay that zero. I mean, nothing. You don't pay any additional thing. Of course, you pay as you enter the country. There's little tax one they have to pay, but for those 180 days, like you people do in the Philippines, like every month you have to pay. American expat has to pay for staying. I mean, you have to pay for the visa, for the extension of whatever, a month after month. I believe so. So there are many benefits. Not just I mean, if you are an investor, of course, if you have you have a pension, they have approved laws also, just like in Costa Rica, to benefit you. So to make the country attractive for people with with a stable source of income, small business, I mean business people from U.S., Canada, or just people living on social security. They have, of course, they have a bracket that's set. If you're making that much money, you can set, you can show, legally that you have a pension, a permanent income, making such amount of money, of course. Uh, they will, you can apply for to stay there basically. And I believe the other visa that it's open to any foreigner, that other visa is the investor's visa. If you invest $300,000, 300, yes, $300,000, or more, that you're creating, jobs in Panama. This investor's visa goes from almost anybody in the world. I mean, any foreigner basically, whether you are Central America, from Europe, Asia, Africa, from wherever. We never mention Africa in this, in this conversation about expats. But there are expats from Africa too. Why not? There are expats from Asia. Why not? I mean, let's be real here. So there are laws that that has been approved and passed. To basically, all these laws brings more development, more income for the coffers of, for the treasury, for the Panamanian treasury, and of course, this brings price up too. I mean, if you're an expat in Panama, you're paying like a one-bedroom apartment in Panama City, like, which is very much an average, a nice one-bedroom apartment in an apartment building. The exact same apartment building, the exact same in Tegucigalpa or San Salvador, for instance, in the capital of El Salvador, or the capital of Honduras, in Tegucigalpa. You pay only like $350 for that exact same apartment, you're paying $800 in Panama City, in a high-rise building, maybe in an apartment complex with all the amenities, swimming pool. This will the same thing in Tegucigalpa with swimming pool, club and stores and gym, all the amenities you can have. You end up paying $350 to $400 average, and and next to movie theaters, next to the nice park, next to supermarkets and malls, and a few minutes from the mall in Tegucigalpa, you can pay $350 for a nice, beautiful apartment. And of course, in many other places, cheaper than that. I just show a studio apartment that you pay $60. Just 15 minutes from Aeropuerto Toncon, 15 minutes from Tegucigalpa, I'm sorry, from the urban area of Tegucigalpa, from the airport, the local airport, Toncontin, 15 minutes. $60 for a little studio apartment, and that was and that's very common to find, and very much routinely people find that kind of apartment for $80. The average, of course, this translates in local, of course, people paying lempiras, local currency in Honduras, right? But with $150, you can buy a beautiful apartment, even two-bedroom apartment. Some neighborhoods, some safe neighborhood, I would say. But what I mean by 300 or $350, one or two bedroom apartment, even two-bedroom apartment in nice, beautiful apartment complex, is because it has so many amenities, gated communities, clubs. I mean, you name it. I mean, see, private, security 24/7. I mean, with all nice viewing of the capital city, Tegucigalpa. So for many experts, considering, I mean, of course, if you're paying $2,000 for one bedroom apartment in LA or Miami, I mean, 200, in New York, even Houston, Durham, I mean, Washington D.C. is, or even more, 200, like $3,000 in many cases. And then you say, well, I'm paying $800 for an apartment in Panama City or other cities, of course. Then you compare that, wow, this is, amazing. I mean, and plus you have the banking community, the international banking system, based in Panama, which you don't have in the rest of Central America. Of course, banking, the banking system is very more intertwined. I mean, nowadays it's global banking. We don't call back then, 20, 30 years ago, who knows, even before the internet, right? Before the internet was real like it's today. I mean, before, not even 30 or 40 years ago, right? It was different, but now banking has, is a global commerce, a global banking. So, but Panama is still ground zero for business in Central America, and not just for Central America, for Latin America. It's been business, and then next is Miami, of course. Miami is very attractive for millions of people doing business from South America. Still with the tensions a little growing, the political thing, but I'm not going to get into that. But there's still there's a bridge that the new Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, was here like 3 weeks ago, was visiting Panama to ease a little bit, to make, that's the work for diplomacy, to build bridges. This is a big continent, South American continent, the North American continent. Central America is the bridge that unites both continents. Mr. Rubio, the new Secretary of State, of course, was visiting even El Salvador. They signed some agreements, related to different issues, that important issues for both countries. And Panama, he was visiting Panama too. Panama as well, for I think it was a day and a half or so, or something like that. But I mean, that's work of the diplomats to do what needs to get done, to ease tension, to bring things, to put everything together, to put the pieces together. Of course, I mean, the regular people just like you and me. I mean, we are not. I mean, that's their job to do what they need to do. I mean, what we care is very much, we are interested in have a peace of mind wherever we treat it best, live there, find a nice place in a peaceful way, whether this is the provinces of Central America or the provinces in Philippines. I mean, provinces, and where if you have, I mean, in any case, I mean, some of you looking for that second chance in life, second opportunity, to find a new wife, to find your bride. Of course, Central America, Latin America is a very attractive, land where you can renew your life. I mean, of course, the people who are single, this is not just for people who are looking for second chance. It's for your first chance. I mean, there are many things attractive. Not just the weather. We always talk about the beaches and weather, but you can have beaches in North America too. I mean, Long Island, in New York. I mean, there are plenty beautiful beaches, but it's quality of life. And what is the difference between the word? I mean, there are two words that very, been used recently: being an expat or immigrant or migrant. What is different? An immigrant is looking for a better quality of life. If you ask me, any immigrant anywhere, not just I'm not talking about the U.S. and the United States. I'm talking about any immigrant going anywhere. If you're an immigrant going to Argentina, people go to Argentina as an immigrant. People go to Brazil as an immigrant, to Colombia, or go from Colombia to Peru. I mean, the immigrant word is not just exclusive for one or two or three or different or Western countries. Immigrant is an immigrant. People moving from one place to another, looking for a better quality of life. So when you ask any expat, anywhere, anyone, even Western expats from the U.S. or Canada, so why you are moving from your country, your home country where you were born, to a different country? The answer is the same. Well, I'm looking for a better quality of life. The answer is exactly the same. So the status of which is different topic, of course, but I just have to mention that, you know, thinking about Central America or the Philippines, what does it mean for for an expert to live in these territories, whether it's Latin America, Central America, or the Philippines? And of course, the issue of immigration, I mean, is zero. I mean, there is not even in the conversation about people who wasn't born in Central America living here. I mean, I haven't heard any incidents. I haven't. I check the news all the time. I talk to people. I know so many people. I've been to Costa Rica. I've been to all these Central American countries. I've been, and I mean, there's no hostility. There is no hostile environment, if I can say that, against anybody who looks a Western or anything. So, but look, things can happen. I'm not saying that it's 100% sure. I mean, safety anywhere you are, whether you are anywhere. I mean, anywhere on the planet you are, you have to just be mindful about your safety. And I mean, know how to where to go and how to do what and know where you were around. Of course, if you have people who people in Central America, that's better. I mean, you're connected to other experts. I mean, get information from people with boots on the ground, like I always say. So, guys, thanks for watching. I'm still, sorry, for my voice. I mean, that I'm still, nursing my throat. That I had a little cold. But thanks for watching again, and see you in the next video. And if you haven't subscribed and like this content, please subscribe and like, and see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care, please. God bless you all.